Chapter 17. No fixed ideal of society. The ideal of absolute political stability would be rational if it were practical, but nature interposes a double veto. In the first place, it is impossible that in this world a complex system, such as human society, should be predetermined to fulfill the primal will of all its diverse members, so that no class and no individual should lack a vocation for the mode of life that is allotted to each of them. And, in the second place, even if such a miraculous harmony could be reached for a moment in any society, and were capable of becoming hereditary there, all the rest of the environing world would continue to evolve independently, and the changing circumstances would require changes in the disposition of the citizens and in the spirit and action of the government. The less elastic and adaptable the established polity was, the more sudden and total would be its approaching ruin. The marvel is, in view of this general fatality, that any ideal is ever seriously set up by utopians, and that at times such ideals seem to have been approximately realized. But not, I think, if all classes and all individuals be honestly considered. For instance, Sparta seems to have preserved its constitution for several centuries, in spite of severe trials and reverses, but there was never any complete harmony in that society. Its longevity was like that of the monastic orders. No attempt was made by the Kirches to conciliate and discipline all mankind. On the contrary, a limited number of citizens, a militant order, was established expressly to face and defy helots and foreigners, and any rebels or deserters from its own serried ranks. Such an artificial discipline, within a special circle, could be contagious. It appealed to elementary animal and spiritual potentialities, undeveloped in most men, but latent in all. It was well devised to excite a narrow but intense unity of feeling and action among the elect. Club spirit, when thus systematically fostered, has a self-preserving effect. In narrowing and specializing the ethos of the group, it redoubles the intensity as well as the uniformity of the authorized passions. At the same time, these passions become ideals and standards of virtue, protected by local opinion and by ignorance or scorn of anything different. Just because a fashion is cruel, you may be heroic in following it. You learn to detest all alien vices and to be proud of your own. The defect of such moral horticulture is that of all militancy. Nature prompts the ideal that rebels against vulgar nature, and the nature that rebels is moral and courageous, while the nature that is contravened is only automatic. Yet the harmonies established by automatism are broadly based and capable of subsisting so long as the circumstances that bred them endure. Tradition therefore enlists the rational allegiance of a wider circle than a militant order is likely to do. An artificial morality strains the heart and rends the world, and the majority always hates it. At bottom, all moralities, and life itself, which any morality somehow represents in a measure, carry on a utopian war against ultimate fate, so that the popular hatred of each militant ideal, be it Spartan, monastic, or Puritan, does not itself escape partisanship, and in that sense forms a kind of counter-militancy. But this is the militancy of many against the few, of the normal against the exceptional, of the inwardly simple and obvious against the violence of theory, passion, and fanaticism. Horticulture aims at the wonderfully beautiful, perhaps monstrous, while nature covers the fields with little daisies, never out of fashion, and breeds orchids and birds of paradise also, for an occasional surprise. On the other hand, the forced growth of flowers and the grafting of one species upon another discover wasted possibilities of beauty, which spontaneous nature would never have brought to light, and there is no reason to expect that these modified types should necessarily prove sickly or barren. Man is a part of nature, and his militant intervention does not in the least disturb the broad order of generation in the universe. All the products of art and industry, and all experiments in politics and morals, take their chance, like the humblest fungus in the lottery of life. Everything artificial will indeed be short-lived, if the artisans of it themselves are inconstant or disappear. Gothic architecture, for instance, had a short, local, eager development, arrested suddenly, in part for overleaping its possibilities, in part by a change of public taste. Yet it created exquisite, inspiring works, which, however, are perhaps less beautiful when finished according to the original plan than when interrupted, half ruinous, or invaded and enriched by features in another style. A romantic suggestion of frailty or of early betrayal by a world that seemed to smile makes doubly tragic the valor and intelligence lavished on such devout labors. But political structures do not normally survive the struggling will that established them. This will was probably turbid and estranged from itself by a thousand compromises, and the statesman's ideal had perished before his work was done. And the prophet or speculative moralist, on the contrary, allegiance to a pure ideal is apt to proceed and survive any semblance of realization of it that he may force on the world. And it is only in himself and in his doctrine that his militancy comes to a head and can leave its mark upon history. The Spartan regimen does not survive anywhere, but the ideal of austere militancy in a band of comrades survives in Plato's philosophy and in religious orders, usually monastic, but sometimes military. And this survival merely in a mind or in a sect is all that can be reasonably expected. For what is the motive power in militancy? The will of an individual or a group diverging from the wider monastic course of nature and attempting to transform it to suit that group or that individual. This can be accomplished by the manual arts and also by politics, insofar as its effects may be inserted like mechanical instruments into the native automatism of nature. But in the vast tangle, each particular thread is soon lost to sight in the grotesque tapestry. There may still live, forever, in the microscopic but profound visions of the psyche, the chosen colors and the ideal patterns of whatever might be its own life in a congenial world, and these will always be important so long as psyches of that temper endure. Yet in time, all ideals, like all costumes, become archaic, and all languages die, so that it is wiser to transfer at once one's treasure to the realm of spirit, where if they were glorious once, they were glorious forever.